rocks. That's what we're going to be studying. Then we say yet rocks and minerals. Well, you've got to decide which is which. Well, you see, this is a rock. But a rock comes in different colors, and that would be the mineral. Rocks can be different weight. They can be heavy and light. Some even float. That is the mineral content. Well, you see, when you start collecting your rock collection, you got to be careful with it. You don't want to end up with big chunks of rocks that start to fill up where your shoes go in the closet. Pretty soon they take over the closet. Or when you go on a trip, you wonder why the car is kind of hanging low in the back because you keep throwing rocks in the back of the trunk when mom and dad are not paying attention. So there's a suggestion for that. One good way, of course, would simply to be you can buy your own rock collection. And a rock collection, of course, just comes with numbers on it and everything else. And let me just show you what I'm talking about here. It's nice that the rocks have their numbers, and you always get a little booklet, and the booklet, of course, tells you which rock belongs to which slot in the box. Now that brings up an interesting point. Let's get back to this rock that I hit here a minute ago. You'll notice that on this rock here, I put a white dot on the other side. A white dot. You can see that, no trouble at all. What I've done there is that white dot has been put on with like a whiteout you use for typing purposes. And then you take a flare pen. I have found this to be the best type. It's the kind they use on overhead projectors. And on this rock you can put anything. You can just put a 1, a 2, anything you want. The name of the rock even. Of course that'd be a little cumbersome because you see if you put too much whiteout on here, you're going to cover up what the rock is all about. So what you want to do is, great idea, to take the rock and put the white on it, let it dry of course, and put your number on it. I had a student one time who brought me a collection similar to this, and he said the lid came off and all the rocks, and he brought the rocks in a Ziploc bag along with the case. And I said, gee, thanks kid. It wasn't so bad until I turned it over, and it was a great collection, and on the back it says rocks from South America. Well, that's a little bit tricky because you see, the name of a rock sometimes depends upon where it's from. There are local names for local rocks. Well, now you want to go to your local department store of some kind. You want to get these little boxes. You girls, of course, the girls will go after these boxes because they put their needle and thread and all that girl stuff in it, But the boys, this is what we can put our rocks and minerals in. And of course you girls are going to put your rocks and minerals in here. Now don't go and dump all your buttons out and everything. That's not the way to do it. But there's a box of candy you can buy. And when you open up the lid, it tells you what all the minerals are, or all the candies. It'd be neat so you could lift this lid up and you would know exactly what rock is in what place. Now that's a good example where you've got to put this liquid whiteout paper on here in case it falls out. Now some kids, when you do this, you might want to tape it shut. I don't think so. See, once you tape it shut, you lose the ability of picking up the rock and look at it. But then again, it's a way to keep some friends out. Kids at school or homeschoolers or whatever, it protects your rocks. Some people like to even put cotton on the bottom because some rocks like to be a little cushioned. And boy, I'll tell you one thing you got to watch out for. Rocks of the same family, well, scratch each other. We'll be talking about that too. Now let me show you what I've done. This is like a beginning. It's a beginning because there's not one rock with a white dot on it. There's not one rock with a number on it. It's just a box of rocks. Now, of course, if we opened up the lid, it's a little bit better now, see? But everything's in there. Notice I've got some rocks of the same type together. They're going to scratch each other. But I've made sure that most of these rocks are just not going to be of any importance if they did get scratched. Some of these are just single rocks because I do want to keep them separate. So that's the way to start. Get yourself an empty box, plastic, so you can see through it, and put your rocks in there, and you're all set and ready to go. Now, the thing about a rocks is that you have a first name, some of you have middle names, and some of you have last names. There's something to that. Now, if you really want to find out what a mineral is all about, that kind of changes its name. And what exactly is a mineral? Well, I went down one of those dollar stores, And I went to the girls' department where they had all the pretty things for the hair and bracelets and necklace. I called this my atom box. These would be my electrons and protons and neutrons. Isn't that neat? So I could make all kinds of cute things with it. So I could take one of these and one of these and one of those, and I have a simple atom. Now, even it's not in this group. This is just an atom. So we have like a proton, neutron, and we have an electron. That simple atom, when put together with others just like it, well, let's do that. Let's put some more just like it. Looks like I'm playing billiards or something there. But this is like two atoms coming together, and that forms what we call an element. Element. That's the word we need. An element is simply the simplest form in which you can come down to getting your mineral together. Now, when you start putting elements together, then you have your things of different kinds of rocks and different things happening. For example, tabletop and this box, these are made of different elements. So you want to break it down to the basic part. And that breaking it down, of course, is trying to identify the element. You know, the old green rock I had a minute ago? It's green, right? Okay, the question is, why is it green? Well, it's green because it has a certain element in it. It has what we call copper. Now, later on, we're going to talk about how we come up with this idea that it's a copper. But look at that. See, it's got a little brown in it, which is iron. So at the very beginning, we can say this has two elements in it. A green element, and black H2, and a brown element mixed together. All right? So that's how you have to first start off with your rocks and minerals. Now, you can't learn everything you want to know about rocks and minerals because, well, there are books available. But you must start with the easiest and most simplest form. The idea of this whole idea of rocks and minerals is to start observing. Even in your own backyard. I mean, you've seen those same rocks day after day, year after year, and nobody wants them. But yet, if you take some neat rocks that you can find in your yard and you go elsewhere in the United States, they're going to say, oh, wow, that's a neat rock. And you say, man, my whole backyard's covered with them. Yes, but in their backyard, like Kentucky, Ohio, Colorado, they got the same old same old rocks in their backyard. And so what you do, you start trading. Now, one thing would be neat would be get a rock from every state in the United States. Of course, you could write it by email or write letters to pen pals and say, hey, could you send me a rock from your state? And just pick one off the street. It's pretty close to what you might get, but you got to be careful on that sometimes because, like on railroad tracks, the rocks that they have that's underneath the railroad track, for certain parts of the United States, that rock is not from your area. They kind of ship it in. So you got to just go to someone's backyard where maybe they didn't have too much truck loads of dirt brought in. Okay, now, you got your first name, your last name, and maybe a middle name. And what we have there then is an idea that there are three kinds of rocks. I got to go over and look for them. We have rocks in three types of families. We have an igneous family. We'll get more detail later. An igneous rock. Now, an igneous rock is basically, it's any rock that is black. Igneous rocks are black because igneous means heat. Now let's see, heat and rocks. I think that would be like maybe a volcano. Yeah. So those living in Hawaii, hey, ship some lava rocks to kids in the United States, the main state. And those in other parts of the country, you can send your rocks to Hawaii. That's all they got. They go down to the beach and it's not nice white sand. Nah, it's black sand. It doesn't make your feet black. It's just all ground up igneous rock. Now there's another family, the igneous rock, and then we go to a rock called sedimentary rock. Now, a sedimentary rock, let me get this big black one out of the way here. A sedimentary rock is one that's got maybe little pebbles stuck in it.